Hi guys. So I was getting ready to get together some of the things that I'm going to need for Midsummer and kind of go through. Someone had requested a video about all the herbs and what you use them for, so I'm working on that. Sorry, the shadows look funny. There was not enough light over here, so I have this awful blinding LED light pointed this way because I tried to put it behind me and that didn't work. And anyways, so I was trying to figure out exactly how to do that herb video, and I'm still working on it. I don't know if I want to do, like, you know, maybe herbs A through D and then E through H, or, you know, separate it like that, or separate it by what you use it for. And I'm still not quite sure what would be the easiest, or what would be like the easiest for you guys to understand too. So I'm thinking on it. In the meantime, I was starting to figure out what I was going to need for Midsummer. Midsummer this year is the, look at the corner. See if I can fix this without totally screwing it up. Oh, that's not terrible, although now you can just see my head. Point was to try to see there. Okay. So Midsummer this year is the 24th of June, so it's a little bit over a month. It's a Sunday. So when it's almost a month or so away, I start to do a couple things. I start to change out my altar, which I'm going to be doing this weekend. And I start to figure out what I'm going to need for my ritual for Midsummer. So that means to me, I always make my own incense for the holiday, for that specific Sabbat. Sometimes I make an oil if I feel called to use an oil for the holiday. And so there's always food. We have to have food involved for the holiday, of course. So I started to do that, and I thought, oh, I'll tell them what I, decided to use this year. But I figured I'd show you my process of figuring out what I'm going to use this year. The first thing I do, I don't know if I've shown this book before, but I started in a, apothecary book that the little tabs are by alphabet, so that I can say, okay, it's Midsummer. So the first thing I do is turn to M, and do I have anything listed for Midsummer? Now let me tell you, a lot of the recipes and stuff that I use are not necessarily in here yet. I do not put a recipe into my herb book, my apothecary book, until I've used it and I'm like, yes, I like that recipe a lot. I want to use it again. I want to remember that for the next time when I want to use it. That should be in my book. So it's kind of like an apothecary book of shadows. So not every recipe that I use is in here. Not every recipe, unfortunately, that I like after I've used it is in here, because sometimes I forget to go back and use and write it in here. But I try. So definitely everything that's in here I have tried and I really liked, and I would use it again. So I have all my herb books, my witchy herb books are up here. So I know I have certain books that I pull from after I'm done with this part. So I turned to M today, and I have Midsummer Incense, Midsummer Lemonade, Midsummer Lavender Simple Syrup, which when you make a lavender simple syrup, you can use it in all kinds of stuff for cooking. I use it in my lemonade. I use it in lavender cupcakes. I use it in basically anything that you're cooking with that you want that lavender flavor in. You start with the simple syrup. And wow, I keep looking over here because I'm used to my phone being the other direction, but it's really over here, which means then I can't see myself. Sorry. So I did, obviously, last year or a couple years ago or however long, I have not dated these. That's one thing maybe I'll start to do, is put the date in so I know when the first time I used it was. But I definitely have a Midsummer incense, and I was pretty sure I had one in here that I've used before. Now, the incense that I have in here, it says, and I don't put the amount of the ingredient in here for incense stuff because it really is kind of an intuitive thing. It's more of, okay, I really want this scent to come out a lot, so maybe I'll put a little bit more in there. And if I do put, here a bee, at least I think I do. If I do put amounts, it's 1 part this to 2 parts this, or half a part this. I don't put like teaspoons or anything like that in there because it really is, it depends on how much you want. So what I have in here for Midsummer incense is mugwort, lilac, jasmine flowers, lavender, juniper berries, and benzoin. And benzoin is a resin incense. So then I look and see, do I have enough of that to make that already this year? Or is that something that I have to put on my list to either order online or I go to my local shop, my local, actually it's not a witchy shop, it's a natural food store. It's called Lori's Market. And they do loose herbs there. So I check there first, and then if they don't have it, and my witchy shop, sometimes they're a little expensive because they come in prepackaged bags. They don't do their own herbs. They come in prepackaged bags from other places. So you're paying retail for them to get it and what they are, you know, charging up in order for them to make money doing that. So if I cannot find it at Lori's, then I go online because there's other places to get it. I actually have a couple different sources that I go to first. One is my glasses. I have glasses here. Hold on. It is called Fresno or Fresco or something like that. Hang on. Ooh, these are dirty. It is FRENDZCO, friendsco@gmail.com. And that Friendsco, he's on eBay too. That's where I originally found him. Actually, when I first started out, I found him on eBay because he had like a beginner's kit for witches that you could get 50 herbs, and they came in little bags to start you out, and you could get, you know, like a 2-ounce bag, or you could get, you know, 4-ounce bag or a 6-ounce bag of each, and they went up in increments. I don't know if he still does those or not, but so anyway, so first I look. Okay, so mugwort. Now, a lot of these are in alphabetical order. I'm not going to say all of them are, but a lot of them are. Okay, so mugwort, got it. Ooh, see, I don't know where the camera is when it's turned this way. Lilac, I know I have. If I don't have any left, I have some outside. I know I've got to dry some. I do have a little bit left from last year, but I really need to dry some. Actually, I have some on my on my altar that's drying. Jasmine flowers. So, oh shoot. Hang on one second, I'm going to pause so you don't have to watch me go get my stool. Okay, so apparently my step stool has disappeared. I love that, how that happens in my house sometimes. So I will have to, okay, here's juniper berries, so I know that's one of them. So I will have to just kind of pull some stuff down until I can see it. Job's tears, hops, so I know I'm in the right area. Hibiscus, English thyme, why is that? Oh, E maybe? I don't know what the hell I put that up there for. This is cedar, so it should be on the top, but because I didn't have my step stool, I probably put it up there. Garden mint, hollyhock. Oh, all right. I think I actually have jasmine flowers up there. I'm pretty sure I didn't use it all, but I'm going to have to check when I can find my step stool. And my juniper berries, see, are getting pretty low. So, juniper berries is something that has to go on my list. So, I will, now, I always have, where did it go? I always have a steno pad here. At least I usually have a steno pad here. And, oh, I put it over here, sorry. Okay, so I can write my lists. So I do need some more juniper berries. And I have to check on the jasmine flowers. Flowers. Okay. Benzoin, I know I have some. My resins are over here. I just don't know how much of it I have. Oh, did I use all my benzoin? Probably, because Beltane, I use benzoin for Beltane too. All right, so benzoin, that's something I may need to look at the witchy shop, because benzoin, the resins aren't too bad at my local shop. So I know I can get them there. Okay, so that's it for the Midsummer incense. Now, if I did not have, because there are holidays that I don't have an incense recipe, let me tell you the main books that I start with. The first book that I go to when I'm looking for recipes for a Sabbat is Cunningham, Scott Cunningham. Incense, Oils, and Brews. Love this book. This is my first go-to book. You can look up any subject in the back that you're looking for. Like, let's say, oh goodness, let's say you want love, something about love. There is recipes for love, herbs, and oils. So just the basic ingredients to make a spell. Love herbs, love oils, he has it listed. Love bath recipe, love bath salts, love incense, there's a couple different, love oils, love ointment, love potions, love powder, love sachet, love soap, love special sachet, love tincture, love wine. So, and then you go to that page and there you go, there's a recipe. And these recipes, I know Scott Cunningham knows what he was talking about. And this book has been used since the original printing, which I'm trying to remember, 60s, 56. 56 was the original. So it has been in production for a long time, and a lot of people have used it. And I always start, well, I shouldn't say always. Sometimes I just wing it. But if I really am like, geez, I'm not really sure what I should start with, I start with this book. And then I tweak it to make it my own. So you don't have to just use this. There's lots of books about herbs and their magical properties and stuff. So so what am I looking up? Oh, Midsummer. So there's a whole section in here. There's also like substitutions. So let's say I'm going through here and Midsummer's today and I forgot to do anything and I don't have benzoin. So I can look in here and say, is there any substitute for benzoin? Which, benzoin, you can use gum arabic or gum mastic in place of benzoin. So that, I mean, that's a big help. Definitely. Okay, so Midsummer 80. Okay, so then I go to page 80. And we see, here's a Midsummer incense. 2 parts sandalwood, 1 part mugwort. So, yep, I got mugwort in mine. 1 part chamomile, which, okay, if I don't have time to get these ingredients for some reason, I have chamomile. I know I have sandalwood and mugwort. 1 part gardenia petals. That is something that I don't think I keep in stock. I have gotten little bits of it when I know something's coming up that I want, but a few drops rose oil, lavender oil, and yarrow oil. So there's one recipe right there. Here's another one for midsummer. 3 parts frankincense, 2 parts benzoin, 1 part dragon blood, 1 part thyme, rosemary, a pinch of vervain, and a few drops of red wine. So there's a different one. Both are different than the one I'm using. So either I took some of his and took what I had and looked up other midsummer herbs and added them, or like the lilac, for me, that is something that is very spring and summery. So I use that a lot in the spring and summer because it's my favorite smell. And that is not something that is in a lot of recipes because lilac is very hard. It's like one of the hardest scents to infuse. Like, it's very hard to infuse it into an oil or anything. It just does not, do that very well. You could leave it in that oil forever and it might have a faint scent of lilac, but it's very hard to get a concentrated scent of lilac. I have learned that if I quick dry lilac instead of letting it dry out, which means if I put it on a tray and put it in the oven for at a very low temperature, put it in the oven for like 5 or 10 minutes until it dries out a little bit, it leaves more of the smell in there than if I leave it out for a couple weeks and let it dry like I do with most herbs. I don't know why that is, what it is in that does that, but that is the case. Okay, so then for my midsummer lemonade. Now, I don't know, to be honest with you, if I'll be making this. When I make my midsummer lemonade, it is very similar. I also make the same, it might be almost the same for Beltane. Because again, it's that lavender, lilac kind of smell. And my oldest son, Frank, he is the lover of this lemonade. He asks, as a matter of fact, I had to make some to have Peter bring up for him because he didn't have any at Beltane. So I don't know. I like it, but I don't drink a lot of it. And I don't know. It has something to do with coconut water, I think. I'm not a big, huge fan of coconut flavor. So I think the coconut water in it makes it a little bit too tart or something for me. But, so I'll just let you know what's in it though. A cup and a half of fresh squeezed lemon juice. That's the best way to do it. Now, if you don't have fresh squeezed lemons, but you have the little yellow plastic lemon in your fridge, you can use that. Except you need a cup and a half of it. 1 3/4 cups of sugar, 8 cups of coconut water, 4 cups of regular water. I usually use spring water or something because around here we have fluoride added to our water and it just does something to the taste. And half a recipe of lavender simple syrup. Mix everything but the syrup first, then add the syrup to taste. So in the midsummer lavender simple syrup, there's 2 cups of sugar, 1.5 cups water, 3 tablespoons of dried lavender. If you're using fresh lavender, you need a little more. When you dry lavender, it has a more robust lavender flavor. So you only need a little. It's only 3 tablespoons. A few drops of violet food coloring, if you want. I don't use that. 1, combine the sugar, water, lavender in a medium heavy bottom saucepan. Bring to a boil on high, boil for 1 minute. Remove from the heat, cover, let steep for 20 minutes. Strain through fine mesh sieve, or I use a cheesecloth sometimes, or whatever you need to do to get the lavender flowers out of there. And then you would add the food coloring if you were going to use it. Set the syrup aside to cool. Once cooled, you place an airtight container in the refrigerator and you can use it for up to 1 week. So don't think you're gonna, you know, leave it in there forever. When I make my lavender simple syrup, I have a plan of 3 or 4 different recipes that I'm going to use, so I know how much lavender simple syrup I want to be using. And you don't have to make it a whole lot of time in head. It's not like it's a real tough recipe or anything. So the other thing I was going to say with this is, again, if you don't have your own recipe, and you're like, Midsummer is coming. I don't know what to do for that. Like I said, there's certain books that I have that I go to right away. This book, this is a Compendium of Herbal Magic by Paul Bayerl. And this book is the book that I go to for correspondences first. So, what did I do with my glasses? Here we go. Ow. Caught my hair. Ow, caught my hair. All right. So, I am looking up Midsummer. Midsummer's coming. I didn't have a recipe. And, you know, I liked Cunningham's, but I might want to tweak it a little bit. Midsummer. Okay, so Midsummer, start at page 98. So you go to page 98. And herbal books, especially the witchy ones, I have found do one of 2 things. Either, like Scott Cunningham's has it by subject. Yeah, I believe, shouldn't say it just has that. I believe it also kind of does it like this, but not in the amount of detail. Brews, oils, incense, ingredients. Nope, it really doesn't do it like this book does. So what I'm trying to say is this book takes the herb, and it's everything in here is by the herb. So there's beech. It's by alphabetical order, beech. So benzoin. So I'm guessing that's the one that is going to say, yep, for Midsummer. So this has so much information about benzoin in it that you know if this is something you want to use for whatever purpose you're looking for. So it has the name benzoin, then it has the scientific name of the herb, which in that case is Styrax benzoin. It has the planetary correspondence, which benzoin is Mars. Religious herb, magical herb, visionary herb. Those are the 3 main uses for this kind of herb. When you are invoking this herb, you can invoke Aphrodite, Mut, and Venus. Those are the 3 deities that like to be invoked with this kind of herb. So if you're doing a special altar to Aphrodite, you might want to add benzoin onto that altar, or use it in an incense that you're going to burn on that altar to Aphrodite. Then it has the lore. So it says benzoin is considered sacred to Venus, Aphrodite, and to Mut. It makes an excellent incense for use in their temples. So that is for that. Usage. So then it goes into a different paragraph. Usage. The herbal resin is not naturally exuded from the styrax trees. The herbalist must make a small cut into the bark, deep enough to pierce the inner bark. This causes the tree to create the resin. So if you think about that, there is almost a pain process that has to do with this. That's why with resins in particular, I always make sure that wherever I'm buying it from is someone that is either pagan or a certified herbalist or a naturalist kind of person. I want someone that asks this tree ahead of time if they can use them to create this resin for a sacred purpose. I want someone that knows how to do this without killing the tree. I want someone that treats this with the respect that I think it deserves in order to make it go through this process. I don't want someone who's just going to come out and do this to a tree because he wants to make money. It will then slowly seep out where it can be collected, dried, and ground for ritual use. So doesn't it sound like the tree's bleeding? So you really need to, that's a sacrifice that the tree is giving you. So you really need to think about where you're getting your resins, which is one of the reasons I know Heidi from Wild Feather had a video and talked about some of the herbal things that you really need to be careful where you're getting it, and such as sandalwood. For me, a big one is and I mentioned it on her video, and now I'm totally lost my train of thought. It is, it's not palm. I mentioned it on her video. Let me see if my brain kicks back in. There's a certain kind of oil that is starting to go extinct and is in a ton of stuff. It's not palm oil. What the hell is it? Oh, my brain. Don't ever get old, folks. I guess you don't really have a choice. I kind of like being the age I am, other than my brain shutting off once in a while. Okay. Benzoin has become associated with 2 of the Wiccan Sabbats. It is a superior incense for Candlemas, and may also be used at the autumn equinox in order to help us understand the mysteries behind the turning of the seasons. When there is a balance between day and night, benzoin can help the student understand the nature of transitions, both in learning how to live with the wheel of the year and in gaining comprehension regarding the natural cycles of change. Benzoin's best use may be found in its ability to provide focus, to enhance concentration. Woo, do I need that or what? And to assist the student when moving into the astral. So for astral projection, it's a good resin for that. Benzoin is desirable for those who seek to journey or to project their spirits into the astral. Magically, benzoin is known for its ability to promote generosity. It can open a closed spirit which is suffering from selfishness. It may also be used to bring increased success to any magical working or to attain magical goals. Burned as incense during meditation, it increases the serenity of one's own energy and environment. Students of the tarot may use this herb to move beyond the mundane symbols of the 7 card of any of the 4 suits. Indeed, benzoin may be used to better understand any card of the cups suit. So that's a good thought when we're get into the cup study. It's time to bring some of that benzoin out. So that gives you a kind of an idea of how to, and then you would go on to the next number and read about it. Is that something that I want to be in my incense? Or in my oil, you can take the same kind of thing. Now, they don't have everything like benzoin. I don't believe I've ever seen a benzoin oil. But the resin itself can be used in oils because of the way that it is produced. It also is kind of a liquid that has hardened, so you can certainly put it in there and it will exude that into your oil. So that is just a quick overview of how I, began to work with my herbs. So I really think intuition, I would call intuition number 1. This book to me is all about intuition. Did I think this herb felt to me like this is something it wants to help me with? Did I feel like with the lilacs, spring and lilacs go together like hand in glove? When does this herb come to fruition? When does it bloom? Okay, so what's happening around that time? That's the kind of thing that it would like to help with. So if you use your intuition first, you can never go wrong, because the intuition is already working within your magical workings anyways. So trust your intuition above all else. Then, once I have gone to my intuition, then I start checking with other things. And it's absolutely fine. Please don't think that I have memorized what each herb says, you know, in the book. There are herbs that I can tell you right off the bat, I know it does this and this and this. That doesn't mean that I didn't know that for some people it, you know, is a good protection herb. Or the books say that it does this really well. I don't always go by what the books say. If it doesn't feel like that for me, it's not happening. But you have to use your intuition. So I hope this helped you out. I'm working on the herb video. I'm going to try to figure out how I want to do it. If you have any suggestions on how you'd like to see it, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just kind of playing it by ear. Blessings. We'll be seeing you really soon.